All right, so 6:30, August 3rd, we will open our planning commission meeting with the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, well, I guess we'll ask for any public comment. Oh, roll call, sorry, thank you. I was that close.
All right, Chairman Parker,
Here.
Commissioner Wolfius,
Here.
Commissioner Gatchell,
Here.
Commissioner Stevens,
Here.
Commissioner Journey,
Present.
Commissioner Corn.
Here.
Commissioner Unger.
All right, any business to discuss that is not on the agenda? Any public comment? And we're live online, correct? So do we want to assign a timeline to wait or? Okay. All right, so we'll look at the meeting minutes from the last meeting. Anybody has anything they'd like to discuss or change or?
I just have one typo on the second to the last page. Under step updates on planning projects, the last paragraph, fourth line. Proceed with a land swap, not swamp.
Oh, okay.
Swamp would be interesting. However, I don't think that's what you meant.
Good catch. Anybody have anything else regarding the minutes?
I make a motion, we approve the minutes with corrections as stated.
I second that motion.
All right. Angela, are we doing a roll call vote?
Oh, yes, sorry.
It's okay.
Roll call vote, Chairman Parker,
Aye.
Commissioner Wolfius,
Aye.
Commissioner Gatchell,
Yes.
Commissioner Stevens,
Aye.
Commissioner Journey,
Aye.
Commissioner Unger. Aye. So motion passes.
She did.
Oh, I thought I said Commissioner Corn, sorry.
Aye.
You're reading them in order.
All right, first order of business is conditional use permit file CU 20-03. Applicant is requesting a conditional use permit in order to establish a home occupation or home business on their property. The home occupation would consist of a tie-dyed clothing business that would be operated by the resident of the property within the dwelling located on the property. Clothing shall be advertised and sold online. Home is set back off Highway 20 by approximately 90 feet. The applicant will be the only employee and will not have customers visit his home. The subject property contains approximately 19,675 square feet and is a residential low-density R1 zone. So, does anybody have any personal bias regarding this? Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to back up just a minute. I'm going to officially open the meeting at 6:35. Sorry. My little snafu. So back to personal bias.
None.
None.
No,
None.
I have none as well. Conflicts of interest,
No.
None.
None.
ex parte information.
No.
None.
No, none here either. All right.
You need to read your little paragraph.
Reread it.
Read the paragraph about the applicable substantive, da-da-da.
I always lose that one, Ava.
It's on the procedure page.
Yes, sorry. The applicable substantive criteria are listed on the staff report. Testimony, arguments, and evidence must be directed toward the criteria described or other criteria in the plan or land use regulation, which the person believes to apply to this decision. Failure to raise an issue accompanied by statements or evidence sufficient to afford the decision maker and the parties an opportunity to respond to the issues precludes appeal to the Land Use Board of Appeals based on that issue.
So in front of you, you have a conditional use for a tie-dye business. We don't have a tie-dye business in town, this is the second one that I know of, anyway. Our applicant is unable to attend tonight. I had a conversation with him, he is working. So on your tables in front of you, he did send us a statement. Wanting to start out. You know, he took some of his COVID money, he invested it, and this is what he wants to do. We had a conversation with him regarding the chemicals he uses and with our wastewater treatment plant.
Utility manager.
Utility manager, Stephen over at Public Works. He said that, you know, they keep an eye on it, they do not produce enough of the chemicals in our system, and it's able to filter it, even with the one they have right now. They said they're gonna keep an eye on it. He gave us a list of the chemicals that he knows, and I sent it on to them, and Public Works had no problem with the amounts that we use going into the system. So other than that, he sent me some pictures. You guys can see some of the ones he's done. This is the Spider-Man one. He just recently sent me a couple of the other ones he's done. I think that was the last picture that he sent me. So.
Do we get our own personal shirt?
That would be,
That would cause some problems.
that would probably constitute a bribe.
No, we paid for them.
Oh, absolutely.
So this is another one of those kind of cut and dry ones. He's not gonna have any employees coming over. It's just gonna be him. Not gonna put any signs up. He's gonna do most orders online or, you know, booths, craft fair, that type of thing. So no increase in traffic. We did have one public comment from a neighbor who encouraged business. So unless you guys have any other questions, it's pretty cut and dry. Okay.
My thing would have been the chemicals, but you said Public Works has no issues, so.
They said they will, just a side note, they said they will kind of check now that there's two in town, but they don't think either of them even together will do a volume that will make any difference. So, you know, the filtering systems at the plant should keep up line. So, now if they started with the manufacturing plant, that would be a different thing, but
Right.
home businesses.
All right, well, we won't ask them to come forward and speak because they are not here. We'll ask if anybody has anything opposed to.
I'm fine with it.
Okay. No opposition testimony. Anything neutral? No. No neutral testimony. No need for a rebuttal. So we will close the public hearing at 6:38 for discussion. Anybody have anything they'd like to talk about it? No?
Seems pretty straightforward.
Mm-hmm.
I would be willing.
Like a good,
to-
good deal.
Yeah, it does. And according to the property map, they've got plenty of space. But they have nobody coming. Anybody want to make a motion?
I will. Regarding the conditional use permit, in order to establish home occupation business on the property 3240 Highway 20, Home, Oregon 97386, identified on the county assessor's map as 13S01E28C, tax lot 01400. I move to approve application CU 20-03, which includes adopting the findings of fact listed in the staff report and the conditions of approval listed in section 4. Setting of a 12-day appeal period from the date of the mailing of the decision. To prepare an order to be signed by the chair to memorialize this decision.
I second it.
All right.
All right, roll call vote. Chairman Parker,
Aye.
Commissioner Wolfius,
Aye.
Commissioner Gatchell,
Aye.
Commissioner Stevens,
Aye.
Commissioner Journey,
Aye.
Commissioner Corn,
Aye.
Commissioner Unger. Aye. Okay, passes no nays.
All right.
7 ayes, no nays.
Well, I guess it's just code update.
All right, we are still in the midst of it. We did a review of the drafts that Walt Wendelowski prepared and had some staff comments and submitted those back to him. He's come back he came back with the response to those, and we just barely got that and gone through it. So it's in process. I don't have a date yet as to when when we will have a sufficient drafts for you to review, but that's kind of where things are now, still at the early stage. It's one of those things where I wish I had more time to devote toward it earlier on, but COVID kind of number on my schedule, so things are calmed down now, and it's for the development code. Yeah.
Anything coming down the pike for the September 21st meeting?
It depends on we've had some pre-application meetings. It depends on what they get back to us.
We could have
Anything
some
besides that, the airport road subdivision?
guys next door,
Oh.
Duck Hollow.
Right.
We could actually have a few subdivisions, actually,
Yeah.
plan development subdivision. So depending on when they get it submitted. They have a little bit more time since the meeting's up till the 21st. So technically they would have had to have absent to me by last Friday, but I'm giving them a little leeway since they have an extended period of time, but
Right.
potentially could have 3.
Whether they get moving fast enough. What's interesting is next to City Hall here, this parcel here, there's some toward the front they want to keep for commercial, but then on the backside, it borders Long Street. We just had a meeting with them today, and they are proposing 40-unit apartment complex, the 10 fourplexes, and sufficient parking for them. And then they suggested in the future, they're looking at the rest of the property being used for single-family homes. So, which all seems they'd be looking at probably a zone change to do that, but it's all fits rather well with the city's policies. So that'd be great. And it's nice to see that despite everything, there's still a fair amount of activity going on. I did a little research, and with there were some questions about the the matter that you all decided last time went before the city council, and there were some questions about apartment buildings. Even though it wasn't exactly the matter, I mean, there was a zone change, not a building permit, but I looked into it a little bit more. The last time an apartment building was constructed in Sweet Home was, I believe, in the mid-70s. So it's been a very long time since there's been any multifamily housing built here. And now we have 48 units going in at Long and Mountain View.
Behind 7-Eleven.
Yes, that parcel there. 48 units there. This one, if it goes through, will be 40 units. The one for that zone change, if it happens, is another 9 units. All multifamily, which we haven't seen in a very long time.
Yeah, and then were they still doing the one out 40?
By the old Radiator Supply House?
Yeah,
They initially said that they were gonna do apartments there, but it's not clear if that's
what's gonna
happen. But if that, I don't remember how many units they were talking about before with that, but it was
I don't think they ever gave us.
It was a good amount,
Yeah.
which it's really interesting to see how something finally got unstuffed and a lot of people are moving toward doing some multifamily developments here. It's good, we need it.
And we're waiting to hear back from the designers, the engineers for the old airport property. Could be a mix of,
on the far end.
yeah, the whole part that's empty.
Yeah,
Yeah, a mix of medium and low density housing. So far, that's the talk. Anyway, they've got to do some wetland stuff, some delineation first before they decide to move forward. But after they get that done, then hopefully they'll decide to keep moving and have some more houses in that area, so.
I'm really hoping that if these multifamily developments all go through and get built, that it'll put some downward pressure on some of the rental, on the rental market here, because if you have a bunch of brand new units that are good quality, it's really gonna put the pressure on some property owners to clean up their properties and make them more appealing.
Yeah.
So,
I know there's a lot of rentals out there that are a lot of money for not a lot of house.
right, and
So-
hopefully we can get people to improve things a bit more.
And those would come as part of the building department. They would come with street improvements and sidewalks and
Right.
all that.
And and it's a little easier to, I think, to negotiate those with a large rental complex, because it's more clear to the builders that this is really necessary, and the impact, and they realize the impact they're having on the community, and how, and they also have typically a larger budget to work with.
Right.
To get those done. But yeah, this one here next to City Hall, we talked about how that would involve some improvements along Long Street. And they would be dedicating a street as well that would probably temporarily end in a cul-de-sac. Eventually, they were talking about having it pushed through to Main Street. And so it would be another link that would help with traffic flow.
Nice.
I could make my drive to work easier, actually.
Yeah.
So on that note, I'll just skip to pending applications. So we have a few. I no longer have 16, 18, whatever was on my board. We actually got a bunch cleared. So one that we started last October is property, or, oh yeah, I put it wrong here. So a property line adjustment so technically the little park over here is actually 3 lots. So we're gonna do a property line adjustment for that, but we're also doing, I guess you call it a swap, a land swap. The gentleman that lives right there, his driveway is actually on city property, and it's been that way for years. And so we're gonna swap him, let him have that. And then we're gonna take a back piece back here so we can connect our park to the sidewalk that goes back into that hollow.
Oh, the little one that goes by Midway Grocery there.
So
Yeah.
that, we finally got all of the legal stuff done on that one. Everything's ready to go. We got all the bank stuff, so I'm actually putting out the notice tomorrow. So the notice will go out tomorrow for this.
Well, the bank approval still, that has to happen before the bank will look at it.
Yes.
So can that be like,
What was that?
can that also be like a bike path?
It'll be, yeah, it's, how wide is it? It's a good width, so I want to say
Can't remember exactly. It's been
15 feet
Julie
wide
and
or
Brandon
20
all the
feet.
time.
It's definitely wide enough to.
To do a 6-foot sidewalk or something.
I'm just asking because, Lebanon has been so active in getting in bike paths through
Yeah.
and around, and I'm thinking, we want that here.
Mhm.
So this might be a little linkage or opportunity.
No, it'll be nice. It'll be nice to connect it and be able to, people can kind of cut through and, so that one's going through. We have another one, partition, on 24th Avenue. That one's still on hold. So 24th Avenue is where, why don't you explain?
Oh, the Public Works
Yes, you explain it better than I do.
So
There's a lot.
24th Avenue has been identified as the way we want to get traffic into the old Weyerhaeuser mill site and to the city's property beyond that. And so for the past year, we've been working with the property owner there on the corner of 24th Avenue and Main Street, where I believe it's, what's the name of the business?
The Reliable Welding.
Reliable Welding, yeah, is there on the corner. And essentially, they would give us a strip along the road so that we could convert that into right-of-way. And then in exchange, we would give them a strip of the Public Works yard.
Oh, and stretch their lot back
Yeah.
toward Public Works.
Yeah, and so they had a few things they wanted. They wanted to make sure that that was a separate lot, not an extension of their existing lot. And it'll eventually come to you because of the shape of the lot, it'll actually need to be split into two parts and have an easement along it, but it'll probably work out fine. The hangup right now is they wanted to make sure that the environmental condition of the land doesn't bring them any liability. And that resulted in me digging into old records from when the city bought the property. And the city bought the property from Weyerhaeuser and was assured, part of the sale agreement said that Weyerhaeuser was going to pursue the no further action designation from DEQ. Well, dug into it and that apparently never happened. Somebody dropped the ball somewhere. It's not clear, but nobody followed up with Weyerhaeuser. And so I ended up calling Weyerhaeuser to get hold of somebody on it. And fortunately, I seemed to, eventually I reached the right person. They were very professional about it, very upfront and like, yeah, we'll look into that. Then they got back with me within a couple of weeks and they said, yeah, this is our fault. We dropped the ball, we never finished it. We're gonna finish it now. And so we haven't had to spend any money to get this moving again. So they're in the middle of that process and about to put a report back to DEQ requesting the no further action designation. And then within a month of that, it should be all good to go. So once we finally have that designation, we can go back to the neighboring property owners and say, hey, DEQ says it's fine. And they'll have their look at it or something like that, and then we'll finally put that to bed.
So this whole thing is in process to get the right of way. Is that for like a turn lane or something coming
Yeah,
out?
so right now, the right of way for 24th Avenue is not very wide. It's just barely wide enough for the 2 lanes and sidewalks. What really needs to happen, if that's going to cross the tracks and go up into the city's property, if you're gonna have 15,000 people coming through there for an event like the Jamboree, you really need a 5-lane road there, two lanes in each direction and a middle turn lane. And so that's what we've been planning on with the width that we're trying to get would basically double the size of that road, or more than double it to give us the space that we need. So we just need that plus the crossing, and we're working on the crossing too.
And the crossing's a swap.
The crossing is a big deal, and so we're at the point where we're ready to begin again working with ODOT to get on track to get the crossing approved. The county's in favor of it, the railroad's in favor of it, the city's in favor of it. We just need ODOT to approve what we all have already pretty much agreed to. which usually the hard part is getting the railroad to agree to something.
Yeah.
And that's why ODOT the people I've talked with at ODOT are rather surprised because they're used to dealing with communities that are trying to work with Pacific or BNSF, and those big players don't want a crossing and will avoid it, as much as possible. But fortunately, Albany and Eastern sees the value there. They want more traffic here. They want events here because it's a good move for them. They could probably get a destination point on their excursion train out of it and things like that. So they've been good to work with so far, and hopefully ODOT will just
Say yes.
I just want them to be upfront and give us a process, and we can work through that. But yeah, it's not going to happen fast because it's even after we get everything approved by ODOT, then you have to actually pay for it and get it built, and that's a whole nother animal.
All right, so we have a 3-lot partition off of Hawthorne, so it's right where First and Hawthorne come together. There's a long lot there that's going to be divided into 3. There's some access ways, some different shared driveways that have got to happen because of the way that there's another shared driveway that actually loops around there. So the way they have to access the lot, we've been working with that applicant to try to, we've been working with the engineers and the surveyors to kind of work that out, make sure that everything's, the access to the property and the width of it. So far, it seems like we're good to go on that. Then Josh Ficker, after we just did all those property line adjustments to straighten out all the lots. So that's done, that's been approved. I think we're almost done with the appeal period. The one on the end, he actually came, I don't know if it actually made it to the planning commissioner or not, because he wanted a variance to do a partition, but at the time he couldn't because of the lot size. Well, now he can, and so he's partitioning one of the lots that, now that the zone has changed, he only has to have 5,000 square feet. So that one, the comment period actually ended tonight, so I will start the staff reports and decisions for that one tomorrow. Same with the Hawthorne Street. And then we have one on West Holly Road. It's a 2-lot partition, just a simple shared driveway, 2-lot partition. So that's pretty much what's in the hopper right now. There's some potential ones, like some subdivisions and some different things that are hanging out there that potentially may be on the board, but still moving forward. Nothing has stopped in the pandemic, so.
That's all we've got.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to address that's not on the agenda?
Nope.
No? So we'll adjourn the meeting at 6:57.
Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you, Henry.
Bye.
Thank you for catching that again. I put big stars by it.
Make them bigger.
I did.